evening and welcome everybody to episode 345 tonight. And those you well know, we're going to be covering my top 50, but really it's a top 50 out of 75. I just thought it'd be too long of an episode to go through all 75. So I would like to do a subsequent episode after this to cover those. And I'm going to mention some of those names tonight just again, but tonight, for tonight's purposes, top 50 or 50 to 75, however you want to deem it. Now, I did have to alter my 50. I had GM Hoagie on, and he just refused. He did not want to be on. Matter of fact, this is his sentiment. He was just disgusted. His exact words were basically, "It's beneath him to be listed with anybody." I mean, he is his own entity, and he just was not going for it. Furthermore, his system fake, as he alluded to me, is so far superior to any other FMA style. So, unfortunately, I did want to get him. I did want him on a list. He refused, and he actually hacked my PayPal account, so he wasn't happy. But at any rate, so
crap.
So yeah, I mean, as you caught, my dearest teacher, GM Pogi, not happy, didn't want any part of this list. Was
I get it.
Beneath him. His system is far superior than any other system, and he just wanted anything to do it. And he taxed me. Superior than any other system, and he just wanted anything to do it. And
sorry.
So, he taxed me, but
you can hear that. You can hear that, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
There we go. I was keeping an eye on the comments. My apologies. Anyway, my uncle, Grandmaster GM Pogi.
I mean, the sentiment's right there. That's basically what he sent me when I asked him to be in the so,
yeah, I get it. I understand.
So, but at any rate, folks, he originally was in my top 50. So what we're going to do. So, so exciting. I guess how I should kick it off is basically kind of what we talked in the test run, how this is obviously going to be subjective. However, though, there is a really aspect of objectivity with me in the fact that, I've been so objective in these interviews by getting all walks in the FMA community on here. So it's not just subjective. I would like to think in that, but for most folks, they are going to have a subjective list, and of course that applies to me as well.
Yeah, it's impossible to come up with a top 50. What is this anyway? Is this the top 50 best Filipino martial arts instructors or most influential? Because the one that kind of got me in trouble when I first proposed it was trying to come up with the top 50 most influential, which may be easier to do if we think about it,
Yeah. Well,
but then it's going to be swayed. It's going to be swayed heavily to the people who have the luxury of having social media, right? Because if you want to talk about influence, social media is the greatest force multiplier when it comes to propagating the Filipino martial arts, right? You guys agree with me on that? I'm pretty sure that's an accurate statement to make. That social media is the number one catalyst we have right now for propagating and expanding the growth of FMA today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
So as discussed Tuesday in the test run, this is the criteria that I came up with to determine, which again, my top 75, but we're going to cover just the 50. And it's, of course, ability, creator, leader, promoting, teaching, creating lineage, inspiration, reputation, historical source, legendary, innovator, and role model. So those are kind of what I use as a reference. And again, what I piggybacked off, which I alluded to, was interviews. Did I actually get to touch hands with these folks or be around them? I use Bram's book as a source too. So GM Bram,
cool.
Those of you who are not familiar with it, I do highly recommend it. Okay, so I use this as well. And word of mouth. I took folks' suggestions. So for instance, like you made me a believer in Daniel Bernas. I mean, the key statement you made was that he could inspire a youth, over there and change his life.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Man,
that was enough for me.
He's the #1 TikTok influencer, sports influencer in the Philippines, which is I mean, the Philippines is, I believe they're the most online country, meaning to say
right?
that they are always online. They always have their phones on, always connected to Wi-Fi. What's up with these comments? First of all, what's up, Lakbay sa Diwa? Kapatid, how are you? Justin's already talking about my mustache. Jack's talking about how my eyes are bloodshot. I mean, this crab mentality has to stop, you guys. It needs to stop. Anyway, Daniel Bernas is on the list. Happy to hear. Can we get on with it? I'm so eager.
We are going to get on with it. So what I did was I put in alphabetical order. And again, folks, this is just 50 of my 75. Okay. So there's folks that I'm not going to get to tonight, but are on my list. And I just wanted to run through some of those names. Okay. Again, because this was not easy. So Ron Balicki, Sam Blott, Richard Bastillo, Dan Anderson.
Wait, you're going through the list already? Hold on. Slow down.
No, I'm just going through my honorables.
Okay.
I shouldn't say honorable, but are part of my 75. GM Dan Medina, Eric Ovidas, Ernesto Presses, James Keating, Mike Janik, Carl Atienza, and Paulo Ladra, Ron Kozakowski, and a few others. But at any rate, let's jump in.
Wowzers.
The 50. So I went in alphabetical order. So my first is Bong Avenir. Okay.
Wait a minute. You went in alphabetical order.
I don't have to. I can just go.
I thought it was top 50. Anyway, fine. Can I just make a real quick suggestion? So for anyone watching, if you hear a name, type that name in the comment so people can give some sort of like a reaction to it. So, Bong Avenir in alphabetical order, sure, put them up there. And please, guys, let's feel free to have a discussion about this, right? So if you don't agree that somebody, or because this is Dean's list, that you can make some sort of like a civilized comment about whether or not you're in agreement with him or not. Is that okay? Can we do that?
Please do. Oh no, right? And actually, I welcome that. Please do.
With no disrespect to Dean and to the person that you're naming, right? We're going to assume these are all great, wonderful people. It's just that maybe they don't make your list. And as we do that, I'd like to talk about whether or not they'd be on my list. Maybe that's how we can go about this conversation.
Whatever you want to do. I'm open for anything. This is kind of a first time, so we're going to kind of go along with it how it comes. But so Bong Avenir, you want to know my rationale?
Sure. Now, since there's going to be 50, how quickly can we make this? Because
I'm going to go pretty quick. I got a sentence or two for each. So my rationale for Bong Avenir is that he took KI, but he's not just KI. What he did was he had some night training with a gentleman that kind of left. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to track him down. In conjunction, he also added a heavy component of CLOT, hence instead of calling it KI faction, Avenir Collies. So there was that aspect of creativity. I like his approach on anything against knife. That's my rationale for Bong Avenir.
Okay.
All right. Second, again, I thought it'd just be easy to go alphabetical order, just as far as time's sake and all that. Guru Roger Abulis, Lameco. I chose him because Lameco is one of those systems I'm fearful in a couple decades is going to fall by the wayside. The reason why I say that is there are only a few that are propagating the system right now and teaching it actively. And Roger is one of those guys. And I think he does a great job. He was part of the backyard group, the infamous 25. And so that's why he's on my list.
I took Zoom class with him one time. And he's very big on the physicality of the Filipino martial arts. So in that respect,
biometrics,
and just cardio and hard work and the athleticism, which I don't personally agree with. I don't think you need cardio to be a Filipino martial artist. You can just have coffee, sit down, and eat Cheetos all day.
And donuts.
I'm just joking. But yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
He's very big into that. The
Yeah.
weighted, I mean, very big into that. Yeah.
That's huge. That's actually amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Third, Anchong Bacon, Balintawak.
Okay.
Without him, there wouldn't be Bobby Tabata. You got, it basically in Cebu, they split from Dos Paris.
Yeah.
Hence there. So
that's a take your word for it kind of guy, because
yeah.
you know.
Next, your suggestion, which again, what really resonated with me was your comment how he could actually just give inspiration to the youth over there, Daniel Bernas.
Yeah, his the benefits of what he's doing now, we may never know until years from now. Right. But I'm making assumptions based on the numbers that he's reaching, the kind of person that he is, and also the kind of human being that he portrays himself on social media. I think it's a great example for the Filipino martial arts. He's a weak half world champion. He spars hardcore. He does, the padded. He does the stick grappling. He does everything, and he's probably, for me, one of the best Carenza guys out there. Like, his solo forms are next to none.
Oh no, he's incredibly talented. I mean, hands down. Yeah,
got it.
Hands down. Next, and I tell you, this guy, he hasn't made a lot of. I don't understand it. He's in huge part of Lameco, the Campo, Jose Caballero.
Okay.
The guy was, depending on who you talk to, was in a world of his own. Just incredible, and all that. And again, the Campo 1, 2, 3. It's a huge piece in Lameco, and so
he's a little guy, right? He's a little guy.
He was. They say he was pretty big for a Filipino. 6'4".
Oh, really? Maybe I'm thinking about a different.
No,
different
they say
Caballero.
Jose was. Matter of fact, that's why he said he would kind of destroy. I mean, he was big.
I must be thinking of somebody different.
Yeah, this guy was. Kind of jacked.
Dan Kukitz agrees.
Yeah. Next,
awesome.
Goes without saying. What he's done for America, coming over here. Some say he's credited with the first FMA school, Angel Cabalas.
Okay. Yeah.
Cabal Serrata, obviously, those who might not know. Next, Cat Coy Canetti. So, Dose Paris, obviously, Corte Gabata, Escrito.
Yep.
And
he, I saw a video of him where he was moving quite well. Like, he was like this. And then he picked up a stick and then went pop, 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 pop. And it's just, for me, it was so inspirational. And I think it's poetic how, here's this feeble old man in the later stages of his life, and then he picks up a stick and it all of a sudden becomes like a fountain of youth for just a moment in time. Oh, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. Okay. Graciela Casillas.
Okay. Why?
I think, she's promoting FMA here. Matter of fact, I even think she still jumps in tournaments. I had her on the show. I'm a fan. So.
And she was also a formidable competitor in other contact sports, right?
Way back. Oh, yeah.
So that's a great ambassador. I'm all about that. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. My opinion. Roland Dantes is next. Okay, so Roland was my niece. However, movies, propagated FMA in a very early time when it was basically nobody knew. So, Roland Dantes.
Yeah, that's a big man. That's like the Filipino Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That was jacked.
Just a sexy man, sexy human being.
Yes. Next, now this is it. So one of the shows we did was FAMA versus FMA, Filipino American Martial Arts. FMA, and I construed Dog Brothers as FAMA's system, kind of made and created in the U.S. Mark Denny on my list. I think what he's done and what he's made. 20 years ago, I went and did a weekend with him. Incredibly intelligent person. So he is on my list.
That's a different discussion. FAMA, Filipino American Martial Arts versus Filipino martial arts. How many people actually agree with that? I know some people really love the idea of making that differentiating line.
It's there. In that fact, I urge people to check out our 3 shows that we did with Molly Powell, Mark Stewart, and Dwight Woods. Matter of fact, we're doing a fourth one, I think, coming up. But next, GM Tony Diego. Obviously, Illustrissimo's right-hand man. He became the heir to the system. So, yeah.
I often hear of the Diego line. I mean, there's all these characterizations whenever a root system splits up, right? But I've always heard of the Tony Diego line as the fighting line of Calisi Illustrissimo. Whether or not people agree with that, whatever, I'm just telling you, that's what I heard. That Tony Diego was a scrapper, and then he brought that sensibility to KI.
Next, this guy really influenced me a lot. In other words, he was basically the written format when I'm doing the video, social media, and that's Stephen Dowd. FMI Digest, again, he was a trendsetter in covering FMA. He did it in written format. He's, also produced a couple books. So Stephen Dowd.
I don't even know what he looks like. Is he on Facebook?
He's an older guy. No, he messages me a lot on Messenger. I think he deactivated his account.
Okay.
But he can still, but deserves much credit. Yeah.
Sounds like it from what you said. Sounds like it.
Yeah, I think so. Ray Floro.
Oh yeah.
So Ray Floro, KI. But what's interesting about GM Ray Floro is that he if you look at his version of KI, very different from the others in that he basically just took the bare essentials to make them work. Also, really focused on attribute development. He's really known obviously for his non-telegraphic strike and that. And also he's also branched off into different modules as far as teaching and the weapons and all that. So he was enough to make my list.
I really like Ray Floro. And we started off rocky, right? Because I saw a video of his and then I made some criticisms on it. And then as people started attacking me, I'm like, holy crap, people really love this guy to the point where I can't question a concept. But then he and I had a conversation, and since then it was like he has some really strong opinions about the Filipino martial arts regarding its methodologies relating to simplicity, which I completely agree with. And I think KI, and I'll continue to say this, KI is as simple as it is sophisticated. It really is, right? It is what you choose to make it out to be as far as your personal expression. So great choice.
You know what it is? You can take the nuts and bolts of KI and you got it, and you don't do anything else. Or you can make it sophisticated because you choose to refine that concept of Limbagata practice and find the inch. I want to just be, you know what I mean? So the refinement is infinite. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, this one, again, I chose him because he created his own system. I forget, ninth modular something. I should have had this, but at any rate, his book here, which was an inspiration for me helping with choosing folks, and his knives are incredible. Been to the Philippines back and forth, and that is Bram Frank. Okay. All right, next.
That
GT.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
how could you not put GT? I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Look what he did for the East Coast. If you look at that late 70s group, I was always amazed by that group. Just, growing up in Connecticut and hearing about them, it was kind of our Stockton, if you will, on the East Coast. You're talking Bill McGrath. I mean, you had Chris Sayok, you had Butch Atienza, Greg Armand. I mean, it just freaking goes on and on. Tom Bizzio. I mean, that was like, you're talking about the 80s Celtics. I mean, we should
do like a video to really stir the pot. It's like we make a top 5 fighters from the East Coast during that era versus the top 5 fighters on the West Coast. I'm biased. I think the East Coast takes it, you guys. I don't know who you guys have in Stockton, but you know what I mean? Like that East Coast crew, man.
You know what?
That might be a fun one.
I'm with you on that one.
That
And
might be a fun one.
We got GM Ray Flores here, and we just covered him. Next, Ray Galong. So books, kind of very instrumental with Christopher Ricketts and the stuff he did. I mean, just he should be in there. You know what I mean? His KI is different, his own interpretation, what he got, but that's kind of is what it is. But GM Ray Galong.
I've never seen him move. And, is there any footage of him like back in the day? I'm just curious, but I'm not like this is not me questioning it. I just love watching people move in their prime.
It's got to be something on YouTube. Don't quote me on that, but I'm not sure. But that's a good question. Actually, if there's anything on him.
Yeah, if you guys have footage of Ray Galong on YouTube somewhere, share it in the comments. I would love to see it. Because you know who I saw. I know it's further down your list, but I saw Yuli Romo move in his back in the day. That guy, I really love the way he moves. I really love the way he moves.
Yeah, there's I can wait till I get to him. I mean, I have such profound I love Yuli Romo. I meet with him almost every week. I just to support him. He's a treasure. I'm not trying to get ranked with him, but it's just more or less helping him out, supporting him, and I just love him. Yeah. GM Leo Huron. So World War II vet, came over to the States, Stockton, Huron system, goes on.
I read his book. It was more like a manifesto, and it was Coach Greg Nelson. I was in Minnesota, and then he showed me the book, and it's just like lessons for guerrilla warfare, and it was really amazing.
Yeah,
so,
he's
for sure.
Yeah, this one, people, I just wish he would come out more in the open. I really do. He's kind of very quiet, reserved. He was part of the backyard group. Most of his time spent with Edgar was private lessons. I noticed because I was seeing him. He was coming up a couple times a year, or I was going down there. COVID came and wiped everything out. But Guru David Gould of Lamego, a monster. As far as attribute development, I used to post some vids about him in FMA discussion. I probably should still do that from time to time. But yeah, just his attribute development, his non-telegraphic strike, what he's ingrained in me as far as refinement in areas of speed, accuracy, power, reposition, non-telegraphic, just stuff that really resonated with me to this day. Still does So David Gould
again, another person that I have no really no framework of not enough to formulate an opinion, certainly.
I'll have to post some vids. Okay.
I would love that. Man, what an education for me. This is and I hope you guys are appreciating this. I'm sure some of these names may be obscure, some of it may be obvious to be on this list, but this is a great thing, Dean. Yeah. Man, I almost don't want this list to end, but what else?
I got to slow down.
What else you got? What else you got?
Coming up to number 19 and another backyard. I tell you, this guy here is another guy I wish that would just, again, use social media more to his benefit to get his stuff out there. But I'm going to tell you something. His cognitive knife program is stellar. Again,
cognitive knife program? Cognitive knife program?
Cognitive knife program. Steve Grody. Again, this guy is just heavily on the attribute development. He did the first quick bit. As a matter of fact, he covered non-tel and all that. I highly suggest folks check that out. Yeah. It's posted on the channel. It's not that long. But Steve Grody, in my opinion, is a treasure. And so we got, David, John Amok brother, David Gould.
Yeah. It's another one. All right. It's another one that I don't know, guys. So send me videos of these people that I don't know.
Oh my, I got to write this down.
I know, but you know what? This is with everything, man. It's like, oh my God, you don't know Jamal McBurn? I'm I'm like, no, I don't know Jamal.
Paulo,
Yeah,
Grody, and
Steve
Guro.
Grody.
I'm writing it down right now for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send these later tonight.
Okay.
Okay, this guy, Modern Knees, I think what he does for the community, you know what, this guy is so incredible. What he does is, there's he'll actually invite you to be part of like seminars to teach and all that. He invited me up to New Hampshire. He didn't have to do this to me. He could have picked somebody else, but he really makes people inclusive. Um, he kind of formed the FMA Evasion, which was nice of him to make me part of. We're also works on a huge project, me and him, that's going to come down the line. But this is Datu Tin Hartman. I just think he's what he does for other folks. He promotes. I'm going to tell you something too. Some people might not sometimes the way he comes across.
Dr.
And I
Tim.
get that.
Yeah.
But you know what though? That guy does a lot for FMA.
No, he does. And you know what? He's one of the few people who has a brick and mortar Filipino Martial Arts Academy.
Successful school.
It's been a while. It's been on for a while, and he kind of talks like this, and he's got that platinum white hair. And this is an unpopular opinion, but that's your Tim impression.
But
you guys like. But I love that guy, man.
I tell you, he gives people a lot of their, not only their due, but he gives them like their first opening, their first shot at something, and that's sorry, Tim Hartman, man. So
100%. He comes down to Canada a lot.
Yeah, he's okay. The man, Jim Illustrissimo. Do I need to say anything?
About no, I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, I'm trying to think of anything that might be thought provoking, but obviously he deserves to be there. I think he was in your number one spot, actually.
That top 10.
Yeah, I just wonder, I just wonder what he would think about all of this,
He, from what I hear, and of course I can't attest to this, I wasn't there, so I can only rely on what was shared with me verbally, is that he was somebody who didn't like all the glamour and all that. And frankly, there was no name to his system. It was given, they coined it Illustrissimo just by virtue of his last name, of course. But I guess somebody that was kind of reserved, didn't really care for all the highlight and publicity and all that. But
I've heard he wasn't much of a teacher either, and from his own people, he was he was like a doer. And it often confused his students when they were like, "Can you do that again?" And he would do something different because the micro contextual elements shifted, and so he couldn't have done the same move, which must have made it very difficult to.
But you know what?
Codify.
But you know what solved that problem? And is that when Christopher Ricketts brought the camcorder, they got it all on film. So if they fed him angle one, if it was from here, there was this like pullback, all those variations, they started to get on there what he would do differently. So Christopher Ricketts was so instrumental as far as that documentation by getting the camcorder.
But again, if I'm going to press that documentation started from a period in time where he was already late stage in aging, right? It wasn't like he was 40. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, fair enough.
It was way late, we didn't see. Is there any footage of Tatang Illustrissimo when he was, even 45 years old? We don't.
No, right? So 1975, Julie Romo or Diego, depending on you listen to, met him first. At that point, he was already in his, I want to say, early 70s.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Early 70s was amazing. They said that they couldn't even imagine him at 40s.
Well, 50s. If you think about it, right? Like we can almost extrapolate. If he was moving like that at 70, and we make assumptions about what a 70-year-old average Filipino in relatively good health can do, and then we take 30 years from that equation, maybe Khaleesi Illustrissimo is a lot more agile and mobile. I don't know. Could it
No,
be?
that's funny you say that,
Is that
because
possible? Because Yuli Romo moves like that. That's the way he interpreted it.
You're you know what? You are so ironically on the right track that me and Yuli have these conversations. And he goes, and I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but what you see today is not what was given to me in 1976. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm going to get freaking in trouble. But at any rate, you're on to something.
Am I on the right
You're
track?
on the right track. Okay. And what's interesting is, but obviously got codified.
Sure.
System was made.
It's beautiful.
Now, when you make a system, you have to have drills, right?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's great. But I love the way GM Yuli Romo moved when I saw old footage of him. And I mean, it was unlike anything I'd ever seen as far as KI representation. It was friggin' it was agile and it was graceful at the same time. Yeah. And it was all over the place. And I don't mean that in terms of that it was jumbled, but his mobility was insane.
You have to see him now. I mean, he had his surgery. Okay. So he's recovering now, and he's doing quite well. But pre his surgery, I want to say his surgery a couple months ago, he has what they call doble carrera. It's basically a step and then you hang the leg. So the double race. And so I'm watching him and all that, and I can't believe how this guy's moving at 72 years old. Yeah. I'm just looking at him, and it's amazing. But one of the things is Brandon has his collection of videos, and it's pretty vast. So one of the videos he showed me, I want to say it was early 1980s, and I saw the huge distinct difference the way illustration was moving. But what folks don't understand is the content they're seeing of him moving on YouTube is early to late. He died in 1997. So early 90s, around that time to the mid 90s, when he was in his twilight years. What I saw in the early 80s was this guy. I'm like, holy crap, this guy had to be a terror. Now, also, he was incredibly physically gifted. He was my height, arms just as long as me, if not longer. I mean, he was. I mean, so in other words, we got Yuli, Edgar, Ricketts, and all those guys that were not as long or shorter. I mean, he was just basically hanging step and just basically saltoing their head. I mean, of the reach he had, But that's
anyway, we kind of went all over that one.
That's okay.
Yeah, we can talk about movement all day long. But yes. All right. Next one.
All right, next. So, of course, guy who spread FMA to Western civilization, Guru Dan Asano.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, how do you argue that?
Yeah. And the thing that everyone says about Guru Dan is that he is just like a vessel for information. And when he teaches it, he honors who he got it from. And that's an incredible, I would call it an accomplishment considering the amount of systems that he studied.
Oh my God.
And the fact that he blends it. And then he gives credit to specific elements of that teaching based on where that originated. Come on, Dan in the Santo.
This is from the Kabbalah set of, a numerado. Here we're going to look at Lacosta. Amazing. Okay, next. Okay. His daughter, Diane Asano. So movies, spreading the arts and movies, obviously the daughter of the great Dan, also a practitioner. I think a good female representation, role model. So that's why she's there.
I don't think I've actually, first of all, she's a great human being. I don't think I've ever seen her, and this is strange. I've never seen her with sticks. She taught me some knife stuff.
But you met her and Ron, correct?
They trained when I was in Los Angeles. Ron and Diana trained me on some knife defense, and this was quite early in my Filipino martial arts journey. So I was just like, "What? Grab the meat of the thumb." It was beautiful. Yeah. It was really cool. But it's interesting that you put Diana in your top 50 and Ron in your 25 after 50. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Ron was on here. I have tremendous respect. I mean, Ron's in it. He's just.
I know, but he's not in your top 50. He's in your honorable mention 25.
Well, in my top 75.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get you in trouble.
I know. Which is why I'm going. which is why I'm not
Okay.
enunciating anything. I'm just making noises.
Okay. Well, Ron, Diana, if you're watching this, feel free to
Oh
discuss
my
it over
Lord.
dinner and contact Dean Franco.
You know what's so funny? It's like I bring you on, and I know you're going to try to freaking. It's like okay, and I'm thinking today, I'm like, he's going to try to get me. He is, and you know what?
Well,
This is
buddy,
what makes it so much fun because I know you're going to try to freaking.
you brought it upon yourself. You take a husband and wife luminary couple and you put one in top 50 and the other one in honorable mentions. Well, I'm just pointing out the obvious is kind of what I do. So you're going to hear from them.
I'm grateful.
You guys are going to hear from. Do you guys agree? Do you guys agree with this? Because okay, I'll give you my perspective. I would reverse that. I would reverse that. I would put Ron Balicki in the 50 and Diana Inosanto in the honorable 25.
Is that you would do? But I want some female representation. I gotta be honest.
Well, that is a controversial topic. I mean, we want representation, but this is your top 50, and did you do it because she was a female?
I might have.
Oh,
it is
man.
subjective.
Come on, Dean. I'm just
so I get. You understand something? I have a default system. Subjective.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
I get it. Right. They're both great. They're both amazing.
Yeah.
Great ambassadors. Even though Dean just. Anyway, go on.
Dean just didn't really screw up, and we're gonna try to hang him for it. Okay.
Okay.
Next. Who knows if we breeze through this, we might get to the others. All right, well, we'll see.
Anyway. John Jack agrees with me. He would put in reverse order.
A huge piece in the Anasanto blends, particularly the empty hand stuff and all that. Kuntao Silat, he actually converted to a Muslim down there to get. So the story goes. Eventually, moved to the U.S. Unfortunately, got shot. And that's Johnny LaCosta.
Okay. Again, somebody whose name is always in the conversation that I really know very little about. Yeah. So if somebody wants to educate me.
Let me see here. And I agree with Paulo on that one. What does Jack agree with you on?
No, switching the Ron Diana between top 50 and honorable 25.
Did I care?
We're just trying to get you in trouble. That's all,
I know.
Okay.
All right. Next.
Lacoste.
Yeah. There's a video floating around about with him, and he's in a park moving around. It's pretty interesting. It's around. I don't have access to it, but
okay.
Yeah, definitely around. Oh, I'm sorry, Tone Jack. He meant Lacoste. I thought you were trying to get me in trouble. Paulo, see the trouble Paulo causes?
No, he's Lacoste. That's a separate thing. Tuhon Jack is saying he agrees with me on the Diana Ron thing, and then he's also agreeing with you on Lacoste.
All right, then. Okay, he's agreeing with both. All right, I misunderstood. All right. Next, unfortunately, passed away some months ago. GM Rene Latosa.
Yeah, I had some great discussions with him. He was a very vocal and opinionated individual.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just thankful I had him on the show. So
yeah. Rest in peace. He's he's one of the grandmasters when I kind of first came on the scene and started expressing some opinions that were unpopular at the beginning. And he would be one of those people that would message me and he'd be like, "You're right, and I'm just like,
I can see that. Yeah, he was very vocal. Yeah. As a matter of fact, his reps, unfortunately, in Europe, also were very vocal, but almost to the point of obnoxious and ignorance. But,
those Italians. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And
I'm not being racist. It's Italians are. I love my Italian brothers. Instructor Zero and all that, but they can be very frank, like Norwegians and
no, I believe me, I know that, but
3 or 4
were removed.
Yeah.
Okay,
I get it.
Next, well, I don't know. I mean, the fact that he agreed with you about Diane and Ron Bilecki, I might have to remove Jack Latour.
You're putting two on Jack. You're putting two on
The
Jack.
Krenzer Project. I thought that was a huge thing. Obviously, leading PTK under Tuan Bill.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. 100% Tuan Jack. And I'm so glad that in the last couple of years, he stepped out and is more willing to put himself out there. Making these videos and all that stuff. To my understanding, he was quite happy to just work on his art and his craft and to be the best Tuhan he can be.
By the way, yeah.
But when he stepped out, he really stepped out. Like, he's reaching out to a lot within the Pakiti University. Yeah. There's a little group called the Pakiti Think Tank. There's the Global Krenzer Project, and just personally speaking, because I have experience with him, touching hands with him, sparring his guys, going to his Zoom lessons and having conversations, he's a really intelligent instructor. And he could be an intelligent instructor on how to make a good coffee. Like, he will just break it down because he's a school teacher,
Makes sense. Right?
So it makes sense that he would apply that.
So, yeah.
Right. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no argument.
Yeah.
GM Ben Lima. So Lightning Scientific. I mean, come on. Enough said, right? Do we need to...
It's another guy that I've not seen move, but there's a guy named Del Rosario and Bagani something on Facebook.
Those are all Lightning Scientific.
Yeah, but they chose a different methodology to apply the same concepts, and so with respect, they kind of created their own thing. Kaliradman Mandirigma or something like that. Those guys are killers, man. Because I believe that the founder, Del Rosario, was like a physical education teacher at a university level in the Philippines, and he applied a lot of these.
I thought it was the partner there. I could be wrong though, because I had Rosario on. I thought it was the other, but don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But Ryan Pagani obviously is excellent. But
those two guys
are different factions. Like Tom Pena is part of Lightning Scientific, but he's not. It's a different faction from Ryan Cordero.
Yeah. So. But those guys are amazing, man. They're amazing. Their methodologies are amazing. The way they spar is absolutely amazing. And here's the thing, right? Just to go on a tangent a little bit. There's a lot of Filipino martial artists who believe in the philosophy that once you modify what was initially taught to you, you shouldn't be calling it that thing when you end up branching out, right? So you have these derivatives of these mother systems. And a lot of people agree with that philosophy, right? Like, okay, if I was taught Pikiti Tertia and then I add my own interpretation, I shouldn't call it Pikiti Tertia anymore. I should call it something.
Hence my first choice, Bong Avenir.
Right, exactly that. And Yuli Romo, all of these guys right? All these guys who interpret a teaching. And because it's modified enough, they change the name into something else. I think that's a good thing to a certain degree, right? I also think it's a bad thing because you take away from the recognition of the mother art of the source,
where you got the most of your influence. I can see. I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Yeah, so, and in that way, you have systems that die off, and eventually don't make contributions to the mother art that initially, sprouted them. But I also understand the other side, right? When people are looking for authenticity or when they've made modifications to the methodologies of the figurehead, the founder, then maybe you should call it something else. What do you guys think? I mean,
But here's the thing though. Here's another part of it that, like, sometimes we don't know the full story because sometimes there's unfortunately a political something happened.
There's that too. There's that too. There's that too. I mean, it's mostly that, I think,
I think so too. Like, unfortunately, So, okay. So we just finished up with GM Ben, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another one who went on the box, incorporated boxing with weapon work, a big part of California. Guru Ted Lukai.
Yeah, Ted
Lukai. And,
yeah.
so
Somebody gave me his DVD. I'm pretty sure it was Greg Nelson.
I can see it. Yeah.
Super inspired by that DVD.
No. I mean, he's
super good work, man.
I mean, the fact that Guru Dan was working with him had to say something, right? Okay. Okay. Romeo Macabal, historian. I think he's covering some stuff. I did like his book. I thought it was, that. I have his download videos on KI. I like his aspect of measure, Retirada, Elastico. I just think, the research he's doing, to me, it's enough.
So a word on Romeo Macapagal. What he's done with Calice Illustrissimo doesn't jive with my personal journey, but let me tell you, I super appreciate his approach. He's very honest. He's very clear with what he's trying to do. He's not trying to modify. He's trying to preserve it as closely as possible. As far as I know, he doesn't. He's not concerned with the commercialization of Calice Illustrissimo, and he's very selective about the people that he chooses to go under him. And that clarity, that laser focused clarity, I respect tremendously. There's no doubt about it what he's trying to do with KI. And in that regard, it's not for me, but we need that, So shout out to
I just think the effort he's putting forth, I think, is deserving. All right, so we are okay. Where the heck did this go? Okay, so that was
Teddy.
Okay, to GM Romeo, right? Okay,
Romeo.
East Coast guy. I'm not sure where he's relocated. Originally, he was in New Jersey, so he had definitely an influence on New York and all that. And that's Armante Marinas.
Never heard of him.
Really touched on every weapon. Did a lot of work in the flexible weapons. Couple books out. I had Spencer G on some months back. Spencer really highlighted. He was a rep of his, and apparently he's still alive. I guess just moved down south, kind of quiet. But really big influence on the East Coast, and again, wide range of modules that he taught. Very interesting. So it was enough for me.
Yeah.
All right. Next. That encyclopedia PTK, on Bill McGrath.
Oh yeah. he wrote the dang book.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Volumes and volumes. So 100%. So obviously I got on Bill McGrath.
Yeah, and he was a beast too. That guy. Yeah. He's another one of these guys. Like you see him move in his prime, and it's like, oh God, like I'm glad he's not that age now, and I'd have to fight him because he was amazing. Yeah. He was amazing. Guys, look up Tuhan Bill McGrath, his old videos. He has some sparring videos out there. He's got some demos. There's one where he was wearing a suit.
Yeah, that's the one I saw.
Yeah, that guy. There is like an elegant violence with his movement, and it's just absolutely stunning to watch.
It's like he just got out of work or something, and somebody called him over. So.
I know. Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Hey, by the way, can you do a demo? Oh my God, I'm just looking. So.
Jeez.
Okay. That leads us. Oh, okay. Paulo Pagaling, he's doing so much with the grandson of Caviaro, putting all that online for the Campo. I mean, really spreading it out there where folks can access that. So you have the elementary, high school, college, as far as the levels in the Campo.
Oh, yeah. And, They have a great website, too.
Yeah, he's really doing it. So, I mean, I thought, just how he's helping the family, the rough times, and spreading their art. So I don't know. I thought he should have been on there. Who else? Okay. Of course, another guy who spread the art on the Western civilization. Probably maybe got obviously more schools maybe than Guru Dan. I mean, Remy Presses.
Okay.
I mean, the spreading. How can you? Yeah.
You know, he was such a loved instructor. He was a well-loved instructor. And it's unfortunate that a lot of his, a lot of the senior instructors that he created are sort of at odds with one another. And I think that is a byproduct of just how much they loved him and how much they want to preserve his teachings, that they're going to have disagreements with one another. So whenever I see, this datu and that datu, and they're kind of having issues with another, and this instructor branching out, I'm like, what I see there is a manifestation of just how much they love this man. And they unfortunately got different interpretations of what he may have wanted. And so that creates division amongst them.
Yeah.
But it's all out of love. So that's how I see it.
No, I mean, and I guess, again, it's funny, one of the big revelations when I started doing this show, like I always heard about Myronese, but I didn't really understand, or better yet, I didn't really understand the impact he had on the US with getting into these traditional schools and, that. It wasn't until I did these shows, and then I was like, no, holy crap, man. I mean, this guy was a genius in one aspect, but what he did as far as the spreading of the art, it's just unparalleled,
Yeah, absolutely.
So enough said on that, right? Next, this guy's kind of special to me for a number of reasons. One, he's one of the kindest people you meet. Always, really, really helped me with my confidence. And personal growth, besides giving me like information, and that he's one of the smartest guys putting programs together. It's probably due to his science background in USC. He was original Dog Brother. Burton Richardson. I just can't say enough about him as my teacher. He's just what he's done for me is it's just been remarkable. He's one of the nicest human beings you can meet. I can go on and on.
He's a handsome fella too. You and him walking down the beach in Hawaii. I mean, that's going to turn some heads. But he's also a professor in jiu-jitsu, right? And
I think he's a second stripe, a third stripe black belt, BJJ. I mean, he's got Marcelo Garcia down the road from him.
Yeah, man.
So it must be awful.
Good choice.
It's got to be really awful. He's by a beach and he's got Marcelo down the road. Another teacher of mine. This guy also has a special place in my heart. Not to get corny, but I just think what he's doing at his age, and that even though he's my arch nemesis, but I just think what he's doing. I chose to get behind him more ways than one on the channel and promote him because I just thought he was bringing a new flavor to KI, because pre him, it was pretty much Kiro. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Kiro, doing a great job and all that. And that is Brandon Ricketts. So
awesome. Great guy.
Yeah. And he just, again, I think leading a pack at his age, he's got no small task ahead of him. And I just think he's doing it with such maturity. He's charismatic. I just think matter of fact, he is going to be the future FMA. And I say that for several reasons. One, some of the reasons I just listed as far as his personality. Two, the moment he expands, creates a college, if you will, which I'm going to try to promote and help him do, and kind of broaden out besides KI, look out, in my opinion,
Yeah, he moves very well too. And he has an understanding of the whys. So,
he's very well, first of all, he was a dancer, incredibly athletic,
I didn't know he was a dancer.
Oh yeah.
Like a professional dancer?
Yeah, I'm gonna start teasing him about it. No, just kidding.
Did he make good tips?
Just kidding. Yeah,
but I'm not surprised.
Matter of fact, I'm going to make sure that as anything I can do, that he's the future part or a piece of the future of FMA. So, his father next, Tuan Ricketts. I mean, Tuan, Jesus, that was a blunder.
You're gonna get
GM
canceled,
Ricketts.
bro.
GM Ricketts. So GM Ricketts. I mean, obviously people point out to 2 factions or 3 factions where you get pure KI. I have my opinion on that, but what the hell does that mean? But at any rate, Guro, Ricketts Sanction, Yuli. Those 3, as far as like quote unquote central KI, pure KI.
Wait, that's a branch. That's an entire branch. The Ricketts,
Factions,
Romo.
Ricketts, so Ricketts, we're a faction. We're not part of Guro. We are different from Guro.
Okay. What's the Romo Ricketts?
Yuli Romo. If you take Yuli Romo and you separate Bahasabu and ask him for his pure KI, it's quite extraordinary.
Okay.
But back to GM Ricketts. So he was, had a substantial empty hand, kickboxing, boxing, and what have you. So what makes the Ricketts sanction unique, and what his influence upon that was his Sagasa hip movements, a lot, basically boxing and all that. If you look at our strikes, they have a boxing aspect to them, and so. Don't forget Regalong he was already mentioned, Chad. You're behind, man. Alphabetical order. And very instrumental too with Lameko and PJ Edgar. Edgar relied on him a lot for developmental. They were best buds, and GM Ricketts obviously on there. We got comments are just flowing in.
Right on. I'm loving. I think there's 28 people here, and everyone's just expressing love.
Nobody's telling me to.
Oh, Master Bustillo. Oh my God, Brett Reese. Yeah.
Nobody's banishing me. Right?
Yeah, no, this is so much. There's so much love like being expressed in the comments. It's amazing. And again, Dean's gonna miss some people, and then he's gonna put Diana in the top 50 and Ron in his honorable 25. He's gonna make those kinds of mistakes, but I'm just loving. I'm loving this, Dean. I'm loving this.
Hey,
Please
so
keep
far
going.
so good, right? I'm not getting banished, or nobody's telling me to run away, or
you're gonna get canceled. FMA discussion is gonna get canceled.
Robert, he's got my support. Yeah. Well, he's just kidding, Chad. You don't have to apologize. I'm just kidding. It's you should know I'm not that serious. Okay.
Go on.
Next. Again, I kind of already spoke on this person. I just, it's kind of, I don't know. Obviously very fond of him, his movement, just the person himself. I just look at him as a treasure. He's unique in so many ways, not just his movement, but when you talk to him and all that. And of course, that's GM Yuli Romo. So, yeah. I mean, find somebody else that moves like him.
Yeah. What a great personality too, right now.
Yeah, he's just a treasure.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, I think so. Next, okay. Now this is surprise people and all that, and this is my person. And reason me is, if you look at, again, let's pull up my criteria. Okay, so ability, creator, leader, promoting, teaching, creating lineage, inspiration, reputation, historical source, legendary, innovator, role model. Okay. So obviously everybody I'm picking doesn't have all these qualities. I mean, that's, or the items listed there, but certainly from the folks that I picked, you can kind of see where I'm deriving some of these.
Yeah, there's certainly some, that
I think so.
Yeah.
So next is Paulo Rubio.
Come on, bro.
You are in my top. You inspire. You create content.
This is awkward.
Promote. It's part of that's part of the criteria. And there are other people that also feel the way I do. So,
well, I appreciate it, you guys. I have fallen in love with the Filipino martial arts, and I'll continue to make mistakes, but I'll try to remain as authentic as I can to myself while trying to promote others as well. So I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving on.
Moving on. GM Ron Saturno, Kabbalist guy. You know, kind
Yeah.
of really unique movement, great. He's still spreading the art and all that. Older
Super
gentleman.
opinionated.
Hmm?
Super opinionated.
Yeah, but I like reading his stuff. I got to be
I
honest
love
with
it
you.
too. I
know.
love
Yeah, I
reading
do.
GM
Like
Ron Saturno stuff.
I really do. So that's probably why he's on. I just like reading his stuff.
He's got that like that old school Lolo vibe to him. Even though he's still quite young, you know, he's been around, but he's still quite young. But he's got that old school Filipino tatay, lolo, grandfather vibe, where he's just like, this is what I
I
believe.
just like listening to him. Yeah.
This is what I
And,
think.
we've been trying to get him on. Oh my God. And no exaggeration, it's been 24 months, 2 years. And he's very cordial. Like he'll come on the show, hey guys, like he'll jump in on shows and say, hey guys, I'm thinking like, why don't you just come on? But we're still working on it, trying to get him on. But anyway.
He's got this student, Benny. I want to give him a shout out because you know Benny? I don't actually know who he is, but whenever GM Ron Saturno shows of him teaching, it's always
that's the other guy?
that's the guy. He's Benny.
You know,
so I've never talked to him. I don't know his Facebook profile, but I'm like, Benny, I'm enjoying watching your journey very much. Yeah. It's really cool.
I don't know either. So that's
shout out Benny.
Interesting. All right, next. So the reason I chose this, you know, people give the system flack and all that, but I'm going to tell you just something about, and unfortunately he passed away too, is that he brought Kali, the edge weapon in Kali, back to the forefront, the term Kali. And in the late 90s, they kind of from Queens. I went to one of the first opening, them coming out, creating their system, their opening acts, if you will, seminar. Part of the late 70s group, and that is Tuan Chris Sayok. You know, there's offensively, you know, I was instructing their system in the early 2000s. I parted ways just because it just, you know, so several reasons, nothing political. I did not have a fallout with him, and nothing negative. But at any rate, the fact that he brought edge weapons, the fact that he had a knife, that was a concentration, I thought that was really unique, you know, for the time. So Tuan Chris Sayok.
And apparently he this is probably, I don't know, convoluted, but I've heard people attribute him to creating the Tuhan rank. So I don't know if that's
I've heard,
I don't know if that's true, but he coined it, or he was one of the first to use it.
Definitely one of the first, whether he coined it or not, but I've heard similar discussion or story.
So, shout out to him.
Absolutely.
He was a bigger guy, right? He was like a big guy. He was a big guy who can do like spin kicks.
He was quite way back in the day, it was quite the taekwondo. So
it's funny what I know of people, right? It's like, he's that big guy that does spin kicks. And Sayok guys are like,
and Harry, but I mean, also you guys got, and to me, you know, one of the first movies, FMA, The Hunted, and the Cayenne brothers, Tom Kyer. I thought they did a really good job with that movie. I mean, the fighting actually was realistic, more realistic than some stuff. So
no, for real. Sometimes I poke fun, but the Sayoks have my respect. You know, like they've made legitimate contributions to the Filipino martial arts.
100%.
As far as I know, Pamana Tuhan Chris was just an incredible human being, well loved by his community.
Charismatic.
I've heard so many amazing stories about that man as a human being. And I think sometimes that, you know, from the people who are outside of the Sayak circles, because I know some people, you know, kind of deep into the Sayak system, and I get to hear some stories, just wonderful stories about this man as a human being. So again, sometimes that gets overshadowed. I think that's really important that people know that.
Yes, I wanted to make him included.
Well loved individual.
He was. Next was GM Tony Samara. So Tony was the heir to Leo Horon and continued to propagate promote the system of, Bahalana, and etc. And he did add, some Ceylon and all that, but he really continued spreading the art and the system, to Texas, and all that in other states. So, he was just, and unfortunately, he also passed, unfortunately. So, yeah. Next, he doesn't use FMA terms. He doesn't put himself in there. Matter of fact, he actually dislikes the martial art community. He's a rebel. However, he kind of really changed my martial arts lens. It was the best $150 I spent on a bot, and met him. And what turned out to be what I thought was going to be a simple transaction of money and me getting what I wanted turned out to be one of his trainers, a friend, whatever you want to call it, but Tom Sotis. A genius methodology and the context that's related to the methodology. He is just one of a kind. I can't speak enough about him. If you're under him, you'll know what I mean. He's just incredible. Just changed my lens on just how I view stuff and how I break it down, or if it's for me and all that. And it really, really comes from him. And if those you don't know, he is head of the system of Amok.
Okay. I've what I know of him is primarily through commentary that we've had through some of my posts. Intelligent,
I'm sure he's like,
intelligent human being. Period. Great teacher.
Well-read,
logical, just a logical guy. He's one of these. I made a post the other day about well experienced and intelligent old school guys, and also noobs who have that logical, analytical mind. They don't need to see things super, super fast. In fact, they can see things slow and imperfect, but they'll understand what the concept is, and they'll extrapolate from that the lesson. And the impression that I get of Tom Sotis is somebody who is like that. He's just a deep thinker, a logical person when it comes to this stuff. And it doesn't surprise me that he doesn't, use martial artsy terms and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I posted a video about the stick twirly thing. I also, as much as I want to try to honor the culture of Filipino martial arts, there are better ambassadors than me than that. So I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not. Look at people like Elric and Raimundo and all those guys, the researchers, who do an amazing job, and even Tuhan Paulo Ladra and Tuhan Bobby, who really carry the art history and culture of the Filipinos in the art. It's just not. I wish I could be that. I'm just not. I'm just trying to be authentic, So I understand Tom Sotis when he doesn't, when his preference would be to use universal or commonly understood terminology and language. 100%. I get it.
It's pretty funny. But yeah, John, Amok brother John Kufis is there's a scary guy for you, Big John. But any rate, so that was Tom Sotis. Next, this guy, it's funny. When I got Mark Wiley's book way back in the day, late 70s when it came out, there were two people that really stood out. And this is I just got an FMA at the time. I didn't know anything. Still don't in a lot of regards. But anyhow, so two people stood out. Illustrissimo, and the next was I immediately I go, this guy's the JKD of FMA. The way he took these different systems, blending into it, formed this, formed that, the influences. And that, of course, is PG Edgar Solite. Mako, I just think he was genius. I just think what he did and what he created and how he separated blunt weapon from edge, and how the combo was the blunt and the edge was KI, some Bikini in there and all that. I just think, the five major systems, some minor systems, but just incredible. Genius. Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah. Lameko.
Next, I don't think you're going to disagree with this one. Bobby Tabata. You think he should be on there? What do you think?
I definitely think he should be on there. Yeah, 100%. And I was just talking with Guru Joe yesterday, who got his FQI and
what's that mean?
Fully qualified instructor. It's the highest rank in Balintawak. So level 6 is completion of the art. Shout out to my friend boudoir member Ryan Pope, who got his COA, completion of the art, level 6. And then beyond that, it's level 7, which is fully qualified instructor. And as part of the testing process to get that, you have to create like 24 new techniques.
I heard that, yeah.
Or sequences, right. Really, what they are sequences, 24 new. And he got it. Yeah, but definitely. And what I was talking with Guru Joe about was, I go, hey, what's GM Bobby's number one mandate? And then without hesitation, he said, to promote Balintawak. That was the promise that he made to his grandmasters. And
he's doing it. I mean,
he's doing it in a big way. And I was sort of thinking, like, is there anybody who does it quite like him as far as just absolute dedication to the promotion and growth of the art? He does a lot. At his age, he still travels. He holds, world camps, and just every bit of his existence is hyper focused towards the promotion of Balintawak. And it's
enough said.
amazing.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you look at like who is the hot item out there, like who's pushing social media, you see, I mean, weekends, camps, it's him.
Yeah.
He's,
so charismatic too. Damn, I wish I was like that. Like, he's just so charming and sexy and just like, man, GM Bobby. And he's so honest. He's so honest, you guys. Like, he is brutally honest about his art. And so pay attention to what he says. He's super, super honest. And he's also like, sometimes you gotta read between the lines as well about what he says, right? Like, he's got it all. Yeah, I love this guy.
Yeah, you said, because have you met him yet?
Who?
GM Bobby?
Yeah, we've hung out a lot. Like, he comes to Toronto. Awesome. I've seen him in North Carolina.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Yeah. I went down there to see Guru Vico, and come to find out he only lived 5 minutes from Guru Vico. So of course, I went over to see him. But the reason why I'm mentioning that is, as far as what you brought up, as far as the honesty, and he really is. He basically says that, look, I'm not trying to, I don't try to make fighters. I mean, there's not, and so. And that really stood out to me when I was there. I'm like, wow, this guy is just 100% honest. So that really resonated with me too. I thought that was good. But who is next? Okay, next, GM Nene Tortal. So some say founder of Pikiti Turgia. I mean, the family, still alive. I don't know how old he is, but so Nene Tortal. I hear he's a wonderful human being too. I just heard nothing but positive things about him and his personality. I just hear he's just a wonderful guy. Yeah.
Right on.
Next, Sonny Umpad.
Oh yeah.
Man, those feet, man.
Yeah.
You could just say feet. You know what I mean? And you're like, Sonny Umpad.
He looks like a poet. He looks like a poet. Like, he looks like he hangs. Like, if he was around today, he'd be at Starbucks all day long with his black turtleneck and just be like smoking a cigarette. And like,
you know what I mean?
Talk about movement, dude. Just a cool looking human being. And he was, from what I've heard, he was obsessive about this craft, right? Like, he lived and breathed it. And I love that
like
guy's
you said,
vibe.
though, I mean, just poetry in motion, right? Those
smooth
feet,
cat, man. Smooth
Gosh.
cat. Great list, Dean.
Man.
Who else you got?
Couple days.
This is good.
Days. Well, you caught the early part. I mean, obviously, I had to change it because GM Bogey. So.
Come on.
Okay, next, GM Floro Villabril.
Okay.
Hawaii, arts over there. I think people forget that he was in Hawaii, for starts. And there, the Villabril system, depending on who you listen to, there's, cousins with Illustrisimo, but really he was cousins with one of Illustrisimo's brothers' wife, or something like that. So, but at any rate, but yeah, Villabril. I mean, a bunch of matches like that. They do say, it did take a different approach when him and Ben got together. What was originally the original Villabril, but nevertheless influential. And
another man I know very little about, to be honest. But his name is always in conversation.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of research to do.
Of course, this guy, it really aggravates me when people give him flack on his books and all that. This guy, man, I'm going to tell you something about this guy, and this is fact. When he came out with his books, I'm going to tell you, those teachers in the Philippines, when they were all still alive, the good chunk of them were all still alive. Yeah. He brought Westerners over there, and it's due to his books, and that is none other than Mark Wiley.
I thought you mentioned him already.
No, Mark Wiley, no.
No. Yeah, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, Mark Wiley, man, I mean, that guy, just spreading, I mean, amazing at the age he went over there, what he was introduced to, exposed to, they were all still alive. You're talking about GM Ben, Illustrisimo. I mean, just the list goes on and on. And the books, I mean, Westerners went over there due to his books when these people were started getting released. So
I want to make a shout out to all of the Caucasian dudes who went to the Philippines when it wasn't so easy to travel to the Philippines, and they've got great stories. Now it's quite easy to travel to the Philippines, but you got folks like Tuhon Papadakis, Mark Wiley, the list goes on of these like Caucasian dudes who just loved FMA at a time when it was extremely obscure, but they loved it enough to friggin' buy a flight to the Philippines during that time. And I mean, my family immigrated from the Philippines in 1989, and just to think like that there were Americans there studying Filipino martial arts when I didn't even know it existed. It just puts me in perspective personally about how little I know and how new I am to this whole thing. And it's amazing. So shout out to all the people who traveled to the Philippines when it wasn't so easy to travel to the Philippines and when people didn't really know what Filipino martial arts was. That's great. Yeah, you have an experience that no one else will have. So good for them. Good for them.
Next. So this guy, different faction of PTK. However, I just think what he's developed there, I like his mindset, what he's incorporated under his umbrella of his system. He definitely looks outside the box. It looks like he's got folks with him too that also look outside the box, which makes sense. And that's Tuhon Jared Mohangi. I think he should be on there. You're on the fence with that one? You don't know?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, he's. And because I work so closely with Tuhon Jared, I don't want to make a statement that may be inaccurate. But so let me just say, from my limited perspective, there is no one in the Filipino martial arts who actively trains and is called back by some of the world's elite fighting forces. From special forces to regular force, law enforcement, military, and professional security all around the world. I don't think anybody is even close as far as a Filipino martial arts representative. And a part of that is his ability to delineate art and I don't want to say what's practical, but what's appropriate to the units that he's teaching. Right. Right. So it's not like this works and that doesn't work. It's what appropriate. He understands what is mission specific. And he's able to extrapolate items from the Filipino martial arts, modify it, change the terminology so that it's common, just like Tom Sodas does, so that it's digestible. And then the way he teaches it is, his focus is simplicity, but functional retainability under time constraints, which if you know anything about law enforcement or military training, when it comes to knife or even empty hands, they don't got a lot of time to do it. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's really important.
Plus, he does that thing that I can't stand, the 2-on-1.
Yeah, he's big. He's big on the 2-on-1.
I mean, when I see him doing it, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
2-on-1.
Come on. Yeah. And by the way, even though he's half American, half Maori, Kiwi, New Zealander, he speaks like 4 dialects from the Philippine Islands.
That's
Like that's
incredible.
insane,
That's
right?
insane.
Primarily Tagalog. He's fluent in it, and that's crazy, right? Like he lived there for 2 years, and he
he got
maintains
4
it.
dialects.
Oh my God,
Wow.
yeah, it's crazy.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Last but not least of the 50, and again, folks, those of you who are jumped in late, I do have another 25 or so. Again, they're up there. They're just as important to me. One of them, matter of fact, it was my original instructors. I just picked 50 that spoke to me in the last 2 days, to be honest with you. Plus, again, I did talk to some people. The list did change. I did reference Bram's book. And you have to understand something. You folks might have people that you actually touched hands with or you experienced that maybe I didn't, and I don't have that insight. And in addition, if there are folks also who maybe I'm not interviewed, so not only that I don't know about them because I didn't interview them, but I've never even been exposed to them in person. So just try to keep that in mind as far as people that maybe you think might be on a list that are not on my list. Okay. But again, last but not least, Datu Kelly Warden. I just think he's got a little this, he's got a little that, a little this, but the way he puts it together,
he's
it
gangster.
just makes sense to me. He just makes sense to me. You know what I mean? And if he was somebody that was closer and all that, he's somebody I would definitely train. But what he does, it just makes sense. I don't know. And plus, he seems also just down to earth and legit.
He's so gangster. He's called me bitch so many times. What's up, bitch? Like,
oh my gosh.
He's just a real cat. See, I'm gonna tilt see up there. See that poster? Yeah. Okay, so that's from his annual Water and Steel camp.
Okay.
It's one of the, if not the best, Filipino martial arts annual camps ever.
Really?
It's so good. It's so good, man, because he's got a bunch of like different instructors from different walks of life, from different with different specialities. And it's an overnight sleepover weekend event. So you wake up with these people, you eat with these people, you train with these people, you hang out and drink at night with these people. It's just an absolutely amazing experience. And it's one of these places where, bro, like, you'll have somebody doing some flowery Tai Chi stuff with some, and then the next class is like just straight up boxing, and nobody's talking shit because it's like the Wild West, like if somebody's got something to say that's negative, you're either going to say it respectfully or there's no shortage of enforcers here to be like, all right, well, let's try this out.
Just looks mean. Yeah.
It's amazing. There's elderly women, there's MMA fighters, law enforcement dudes, lifelong martial artists. You just will not find a camp quite like it, and I cannot endorse enough Datu Kelly Warden's Water and Steel camp. One of the best camps that I've ever been to as far as FMA is concerned. And despite Datu Kelly being sort of like this rough and tumble, rough around the edges, purebred American, he has moments of silence to honor his instructors who have gone, and he has so much love for the Filipino martial arts. It's absolutely incredible. And again, go to Water and Steel. Go to Water and Steel.
I mean, again, it's something. Yeah, well said. Again, there was something from afar that just. I don't know. There was something I just knew there's stuff going on there, and.
Great list. I'm glad to see him on there, man. But hold on.
So, folks, in the comment section, list who you think should have been on there that maybe there was an oversight on my part, because I could have it on my additional. So, if so, let me know, or you can let me know.
I made a list as we were talking, so this list is completely incomplete. But as we were talking, because I didn't prepare, I didn't.
That's okay.
This was your list. But as you were going off, and again, this is my personal list. It's 1,000% incomplete. And if I forgot you, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I just want to read this off. Is that okay?
Please do.
Is that cool? So
yeah.
So let me begin with just acknowledging some of the Canadian people, right? Like Archie Luz, Justin Patricio Fernando, which includes, Mark Medeiros, Darcy from Last One Standing Strategy, Tuhan Loki, Sean Zerger, who's just
Sean Zerger's on my additional list.
Incredible. Sebastian Poirier, who's Tuhan Phillips, like one of his best fighters there. And I saw him fight, even though he had back problems recently in Spain. This guy's an animal. Guru Terrence, one of the smartest ball to walk instructors, hands down, that I've ever met.
I'm not familiar with him. Okay.
Yeah. So Guru Terrence is somebody who kind of works with Guru Joe, right? Pintados Garduce, right? This guy is just the smiling assassin. There's more. I'm sure I've forgotten any. I've forgotten some.
Phil?
Well, then, so this is my Canadian folks, and then there's also Canadians in the main list to include Tuhan Philip. In fact, he's second on the list there.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go off. But before that, another subgroup of people who don't train Filipino martial arts, but that are incredibly influential to me.
Sure.
And that is Todd Fossey.
Yeah. I know you're a fan of him.
Sal Mascoli and Instructor Zero. Sal Mascoli, this is the guy that he takes me to a back alley in Las Vegas, and we test knife concepts on black tar concrete. And as far as Todd Fossey and Instructor Zero is concerned, Todd Fossey leads me into the MMA side of training methodologies, and Instructor Zero is huge as far as cognitive processes, right?
Yeah.
Is overloading your brain so that you can make sound decisions under stress. So these three people, and there's more, but these three people who don't do FMA that are influential to me. And then I'm just going to go off the list very quickly. First of all, let's do this, guys. Dean Mother Franco deserves to be on this list. Dean, you deserve to be on this list for a multitude of reasons, not only for your love of the Filipino martial arts, but your ability to be an ambassador for it, your creation of FMA discussion, and your continual open-mindedness to new sources of information, how you can embrace the art, even though you are, it seems sometimes supremely focused on, the practical, the 2-on-1, the gross motor. There's still no part of you that I feel is resentful or rejects the art. So I think that's absolutely beautiful. You're all that. Shout out Guru Dean Franco.
I appreciate anything coming for you, because I absolutely have tremendous respect for you and what you do, and this is why you're in my 50. So
look at that.
I appreciate.
Look at all the love. Look at all the love coming in for you, Guru Dean. Yeah, absolutely.
Facebook user, yes, Dean does. I'm not sure. Do you see what that is? There's not a name coming up.
Yes, Dean does. That is from Michael Dzizek. I'm sorry.
Oh, he's
Michael Dzizek.
John Push's brother. Yeah, your brother too, man. Yeah.
Dean Franco, 1,000%. And you know what? There is not a human being on this planet that I know of that could have done FMA discussion in the same ways as you have. You're such a likable person. So, but enough about you.
Thank you.
So we have Guru Joe Apostol, Tuhan Philip. I got Jared, but I also have Lamont Glass and Jason Jones and Johannes running off on my list. I got Sean Zerger. Kelly Warden, you mentioned somebody that I no longer work with, but it's undeniable their contributions to the Filipino martial arts. It is Kuya Doug Marcaida. Like, Doug Marcaida has done so much for the Filipino martial arts.
Oh yeah,
right. And as far as artful sophistication and movement, he's one of the top still to this day. Yeah. So
look at the show he's got going on too. The whole or what's it called?
Forged in Fire.
Yeah.
So Doug Marcaida deserves to be there. Tuhan Ray Dionaldo is he's like he's like a moving encyclopedia of Filipino martial arts, somebody who blends and has created Filipino combat systems. His work with the sarong and the machete, and he comes from a Sayak background, amazing guy, Tuhan Ray.
Yeah.
Steve Dinamo, Stelios Dokianakis.
I love that. Yeah, I like your guy there, man.
He's amazing. The thing is, with the boudoir guys, he was the first one to he was really instrumental because he drove to my house every Wednesday, sometimes twice a week, to work on the concepts that I would learn all around the world. And then later the boudoir formed kind of around that. But he was really the guy who forced me out of my hypothetical theoretical state of just collecting knowledge and understanding it.
Oh, wow.
And really putting it to work. Yeah, he was the guy who came here for 2 years before the boudoir was formed.
Yeah. He's somebody I like to meet beside you. I get a good vibe from him, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
He's amazing. I'm gonna give a shout out to Tuhan Ramel Tortal, who his knowledge of Pikiti Tersha is the next level. In some ways, he's also innovating, but also his fluidity in movement is just stunning. His carenzas, his double stick and single stick or single machete is amazing. Beautiful. It's poetry in motion. Poetry in motion. Professor Leonard Trigg, I've only had the opportunity to train with him once, but
how was that? I gotta know this from a Lameko perspective.
Professor Leonard Trigg is like Master Splinter. He's just he walks around like this and he's very quiet, and then it's time to teach, and he's still, the way he teaches is like, okay, you do this and you want to do that, and then and it explodes, and his crispness and precision and power just comes out, and it's stunning to watch Professor Leonard Trigg teach.
Wow.
Unfortunately, or for better or worse, he's made a decision to sort of be detached from the FMA universe, but if you want to catch him, that's why you go to Water and Steel with Datu Kelly Warden.
Because he's there. Gotcha.
He teaches there. So I have also Sensei Ian Floresca from Shinkali in Japan. Deep Vietnamese Jiu-Jitsu, Pikiti Tersha. He's an old school guy. I was in the Philippines with him, and he wanted to teach me something, and he literally just started hitting me with a stick. And
who's this guy again? I'm not familiar. Who?
So if you guys look up Shin Kali, Shin, Shin Kali, he's based out in Japan now. His name is Ian Floresca. People call him Sensei E. And he's just an amazing instructor. Super knowledgeable, super respectful of the art history and culture of the Filipino martial arts. He embodies old school teaching methodologies and also embraces the new school. So it's amazing. Sensei's in there. I have folks like Jack Latorre, Belton Lubas, Danny Terrell, just great teachers. Just really, really great teachers. Coach Danny. Just a smart, logical guy. He's got combat, submission, wrestling, Wing Chun.
The thing with
super logical dude. Super logical.
I don't think he gets Coach Danny. He's somebody I want to meet and all that. He's just pragmatic.
Yes.
He's not so deep into PTK where he can't appreciate other stuff. And
he's an integrator.
I see Coach Danny as that. If you're just knee deep and you can't, I don't have anything against you, but we're not gonna be able to dance.
And especially considering how detailed and meticulous the PTI organization is about their movements, to have somebody like Coach Danny integrated and fit in to that structure, who also does Wing Chun and wrestling and jiu-jitsu and boxing and all this other stuff.
That's my whole point. Me and him are going to have a really good, because, well, look at me. I mean, I've been around the block. Everybody knows that. So we're going to, that's going to be a nice fusion, because I'm not going to come from the pure KI lane. He's not going to come from the pure PT. I think this is going to be a nice interaction, I think.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I mentioned Belton Lubas. Tuhan Kit Asenas is there. this guy teaches like Dan Inosanto. He overloads your brain. He teaches you like 83 things all at once, and then he goes, "Go."
I would have to check out.
Yeah, it's
Larry
crazy.
Hartzell days. That reminds me of Larry Hartzell days when I would try to take notes, and then I would have just taken the notebook and just throwing it because I just couldn't keep. Yeah, I would have to check out.
I have Tuhan Eric Lalonnier from France, who's an
You mentioned
Inosanto
him.
guy,
Yeah.
PTTA guy. He just has a very, 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 very deep martial arts history. And shout out to all the people in France. Not all the people know that is a fighting culture. It's the epitome of fighting culture. Like judo is friggin' huge in.
I would have never guessed that.
Dude,
really,
the French people are fighters, man. Like they are just some of the most amazing martial artists that I've ever met in the whole wide world. I know some you Americans, you guys got the wrong impression of the French.
I'm just kidding.
They're killers, man. They're killers. Okay.
Hey, I got a question for you
Yeah.
before I don't say anymore and I forget. Mike would like to know, what do you think about Greg Alland, who is also on my other list?
I don't know him. I don't know. I don't even know necessarily of
Late
him.
70s group.
Yeah, I just know like there are certain names in Pikiti Tersha, like Erwin Bayarta and just
Tim and Tom Bizio. They said those two were.
Yeah, he's a sheriff, I believe. He's a sheriff in Texas.
There's
just some names that I just don't know of them, but I only hear of them in high regard. And then finally, I'm going to start with one person that's just amazing, and then three people that I think are amazing based on what I've seen, but I've never met them. So, Coach Greg Nelson, he's incredible. And Coach Greg Nelson, I mean, you talk about, and he's upfront with this, guys. He is the head coach of 4 UFC world champions, and he does hubad to prepare his fighters. He does Filipino martial arts stick fighting drills to prepare world-class MMA fighters. Right? Like this is a guy that deserves our recognition. And if he doesn't get enough recognition, it's going to be a travesty because he loves the Filipino martial arts. He's a full instructor under Guro Dan, which means he studied Lameko and KI and Pikiti. And
one time, right? Or was exposed to it.
Yeah. He was one of these dudes who just, man, he would bang it out. He would travel to a seminar. He would go home with Guru Rick Fay, and then they would just like explore like a bunch of Midwestern, country boy bangers and what that kind of mentality will do to the Filipino martial arts deserves absolute respect. So in that regard, I've never met Guru Rick Fay, but when I was in Todd Fosse's academy, he
nothing but great stuff too.
He had this piece of paper for me, and it had some quote, but I don't remember the quote, but I remember it being profound, and I was affected by it. So Guru Rick Fay, Mark Makita, right? And then I've never met Mark Makita, but I see him move, and I'm like, holy crap, man! And I see his wall, and I'm like, this guy's a martial artist.
That wall is, I know, amazing, just amazing.
Yeah. And do you guys know Cass Magda? Is that his name?
Oh yeah. Dwight Woods really knows him well. I just know this from conversations with Dwight, but yeah, definitely Asano blend with early one. But yeah,
I saw one video of him teach, and I'm like, that's an intelligent cat. Like, that's really good. So anyway, that's my incomplete list that I sort of composed in between thoughts.
No, you know what we gotta do? This is way too much fun and went better than I thought it would go.
So much love.
Why don't we do my second part?
Let's go. Hey, we should do can we do like the worst Filipino martial artist one day? I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
And the rating for FMA discussion just
this is the top 50 worst Filipino martial artists to ever exist.
But seriously, let's do this again, and because I have enough names where I could easily do another one, and they're worthy. I mean, these are worthy cats. I mean, these are like Coach Danny, and Tom Bizio, Largusa,
friggin' Elric. I mean, Celestino Macachor, man. Oh my God.
I
Geez.
mean, Hawk, Ernesto.
Oh my God.
GM Renee Thompson. I mean, so
Jeez, there's so many.
that's what I mean. Rodell.
Yeah.
So how about next week?
Well.
Next Thursday?
Wait, hold on. Did I mention Henry Aspera, Master Henry?
You did not.
That guy's like in my top 10. Yeah, Master Henry.
Well,
hey, Dean, I'm gonna show you the unedited, unreleased copy of what he taught me about KI. Yeah, you'll see.
Oh my gosh.
His knife work. He doesn't share his knife work. One of the best that I've ever seen. I'll send it to you. I'll send you the.
I really appreciate it. Like on my Netflix, I have Carl Atienza, Mike Janet, James Keating, Kirk McCune. So this second list is Apollo Landra. I mean, so this second list is
the Ladra brothers for sure. Yeah,
next Thursday.
Not just Tuhan Apollo, but also Tuhan Bobby, who's a gangster. Who? Bobby Ladra.
No,
Tuhan Bobby.
Hey, would you be good for next Thursday?
Yeah, for sure. I think so. I'll make time
because I do got a jet soon. I have.
Yeah, you got a 9 o'clock show.
Due to my scheduling faux pas, I have another one. Yeah. So
man, thank you guys.
I want to thank you so much for doing this, and I really appreciate it. Anytime you take time away from what you got going on in your life, I sincerely appreciate it. But I would be honored if you would do another one with me next Thursday.
Bro, the honor is mine, and the honor really is shared. I think. Just look at the comments. Like it's crazy the amount of love, man. Yeah. Keep adding, keep commenting. You don't simulcast on YouTube, do you? You should simulcast on YouTube.
No, I know. I
you
should
upload it. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. I just don't.
So many amazing people. FMA is amazing, man. It's so awesome. Filipino martial arts. So rich. Look at all these people, Dean. This is crazy.
Yeah. Well, all right, folks, we're going to do it. So, folks, we will be doing another one. Of course, you'll see the flyer out there. And those who all jumped in, and I want to thank you for the comments. I want to thank you, for there. Unfortunately, I just want to make a quick announcement that some of you have jumped in late, okay? And I just want you guys to know that, yes, I asked GM Pogi to come on, and he just was upset the fact that he would be with others. He felt that was beneath him, and this is basically what he sent me. And also he hijacked my PayPal account. So,
and Dina, I gotta say, I really appreciate you not putting me in between your relationship with GM Pogi. Even though we're family, I really appreciate that you compartmentalize our friendships.
I would never divide and conquer like that. I mean, we're okay. He hacked my account. We'll be good tomorrow, and I mean, maybe he'll give me some back. I don't know, but he liked my video. No more jogging pants.
No more jogging pants. Yeah, I saw that. That was rough. Anyway, but thank you all. Thank you all so much.
Thanks again, and we'll be in touch next week.
All right, Mr. Branco, I'm out of here.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Take care, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, folks, that wraps up 3:45. I'm going to be back on in 15 minutes. I had a scheduling issue, and I was going to cancel. I forgot that. Had an interview in the Philippines, of course. They're ahead by half a day, and I forgot to take that into account. So next episode is 346 with we're going to be covering KI. Guro Ramon is going to be showing a bunch of demos. We're going to also look at the book. So if you guys are around, you got nothing better to do, and you want to keep me company, by all means, please jump in. Again, this is let me just pull up the flyer. All right, so this is it right here. And again, what I wanted to mention is we are going to be covering, I don't know if, I'm going to agree, some of you folks have probably seen this. Just released, and I think there's a limited amount of copies, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, this is the book. So I'm going to cover the book tonight, as well as Guro and Moan's going to be doing some Kiro-related KI demos. So I think it should be great. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to have to think much. I'm just going to kind of just let them do their thing. So it should be fairly easy and enjoyable. Yeah. So at any rate, again, if you guys are not bored, you're not busy, come join in 15 minutes from now. All right. I want to thank everybody who commented and on this show. Yeah, I think it went pretty well. There will be a part 2 where I got folks with GM Renee Tongson on my second list in 50 and all that. So who are all well deserving being on that. Rodell. I mean, I don't want to give it all away, but you guys are getting the picture. Yeah, Tom Bizzio, Ron Balicki, Richard Costello. So again, it's just as good as the first, and I had come up with a quick 50. So I basically went with some alphabetical order, Bram, spoken, what have you. But anyway, I will see you guys. Some may I'll see you in 50 minutes. If not, I'll see you next week. All right, thanks for jumping in.